Both the murder of Zarutzka and the hunt for the killer of Charlie Kirk have one element in common: calls for the death penalty.
While Utah has executed convicted criminals, that has not happened in North Carolina since 2006. We want to bring back in our chief legal analyst Khalif Rhodes to talk about this. Khalif, we know in the case of DeCarlos Brown, he's facing a federal charge of causing death on a mass transportation system. That would make him eligible for the death penalty there. Is that the workaround there? Because most people think it's related to at least a murder, but it's the causing death. That charge is what makes him eligible for the death penalty, right?
That is correct. That 100%. I mean, but let's be clear. In North Carolina, just murder by itself is a capital offense. We have the death penalty here in our state. So even if the federal government didn't come in, this is still a death penalty state, and it could occur. Now, the likelihood of it occurring in Mecklenburg County is low. The likelihood of it occurring in the state of North Carolina is low, but the likelihood of it occurring on the federal high is extremely high. And that's why when you have these type of crimes that folks are attempting to categorize as hate crimes, then if you can, the government can prove that it was a hate crime, then yes, going after the death penalty in that level is probably the easier route than on the state level. I handle homicide cases here, first capital murder cases in North Carolina. What I could say is that the facts have to be extremely egregious. I've only had one case where the prosecutor told me that they were very, very close to seeking the death penalty in that case. But it triggers a lot of things, but in terms of what have to happen procedurally with the case, how you handle it, and it's time. It's all structural and it's all procedural. The state has to announce in open court, yes, we're going to seek the death penalty, or no, we're not going to seek the death penalty. I would anticipate here with that case on the state level that they would not.
Khalif, we've seen reports, heard rumors of suspected mental health issues, possibly. Does that become the defense in this case, as far as his mental sanity at the time of this? Where do you see this going?
Because of the timeline, right? Most of the time, a person is going to be arrested for an incident involving murder, and they're instantly charged with a capital offense. So they already are facing the death penalty. You have an attorney, the attorney's either appointed or you go hire someone. There's really no defending or arguing if the state's going to make a death penalty determination or not, because it's going to be, the purview of the elected DA in that individual county, specifically in Mecklenburg County, in North Carolina. So they'll make that determination without any input from a criminal defense attorney. Now, I think they are grabbing a lot of other things that we don't see in the forefront. Their mental history may come into play into that, but they're looking at the entire picture when they're making that determination. And typically did they do anything aggravating? Right. Was it something outside just the individual homicide, which is horrific on its own, but did you do something else? Were you disfiguring, and were you doing something, like the Jeffrey Dahmer types of things that you typically see, where they're saying, okay, you know what, this is outside of even the norm for something that is outside the norm.
And Khalif, we're going to get to Charlie Kirk's killer. We don't know who that is right now. The killer's still at large, but I do want to ask one more question when it comes to DeCarlos Brown. If the judge rules or there's a psych evaluation done, because we know Brown was supposed to have one of those done, and say he is deemed unfit to stand trial, what happens in that case?
Well, all of that would be, again, it's such procedural, right? You're going to be arrested. You'll have an opportunity to get counsel, and then they have something called the Rule 24. Well, all that will happen before you even get discovery, which is all the information about the case. The state's going to make a determination well before any type of involuntary commitment, and way before any type of mental health evaluation occurs. Your attorney, at some point, if they suspect that, hey, my client may have some issues that needs to be evaluated, I'd make a petition to the court, but that's going to be 6 months later, 5 months later. It's going to happen way after a Rule 24 determination, typically would happen. Now, in this case, because it has got a lot of attraction, because more eyes are looking at it, that may be delayed. But normally, for a homicide case in this state, that determination is going to be made relatively quickly if they are going to seek the death penalty or not. And the process in North Carolina is pretty straightforward. We've been a death penalty state since 1760-something. It wasn't until 1910 that the death penalty was taken over by the state. Before that, it was done on an individual basis. The decision and the execution was all done on the county local level. And so we've progressed a long way from where we used to be, but the process, the determination is still made at the county level.
All right, Khalif, we also know, quickly out of time, we know President Trump demanding a death penalty here. Does that influence trickle down as far as affecting how a trial could go when you hear from the president going, this is what I want?
On the federal level, it could. I'd look at the Manhattan case with a guy plowing into the folks up there. President Trump was asking for the death penalty, asking the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, to seek the death penalty. And his attorney, the guy's attorney, said, hey, this is a rationale why we shouldn't have the death penalty, because he was being pressured and persuaded by the President of the United States to just go this route, that the facts didn't send him there, but it was more political pressure. So I think those type of statements could hurt the likelihood of going to a death penalty case on the federal level, for sure.
All right, again, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, weighing in on that. Khalif, thank you. And in case you missed it, Khalif said earlier that until we have the suspect, we can't even start talking about hate crimes in the case when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.